Hi guys, I hope you're well. I'm going to do something a bit different today. I'm going to show you my book collection and do a little bit of review on the books that I have managed to read so far. Some of them I haven't read yet, and so obviously I can't do much review on them, but I will show them anyway. And the first one is Lauren Conrad. When I was a teenager, I was a huge fan of Laguna Beach, The Hills, The City, you know, all those sort of programs, particularly because of Lauren Conrad. She was pretty much one of my biggest woman crushes for a while, as my friends probably already know. And she has released years ago a couple of novels. There is actually one that I haven't got, but this one is called LA Candy, and I think it's basically like a book version of The Hills. So they're kind of like biographies, autobiographies, and that's what it looks like. I just think the cover is really cute. So yeah, I've had this for ages and I haven't quite got around to reading it yet. So when I do, I'll definitely do a proper review on that one. And the next one is The Sweet Little Lies, again by Lauren Conrad, and I love the little heart themes she's going with. So that's what that looks like. Again, I haven't got around to reading this one, so I won't really do a review. I will just show you what it looks like and the title, just in case it's something that you're interested in. And like I said, it is, from what I've heard, meant to be a little bit like The Hills. And this is actually my favourite book that I've read so far. It's called Wicked Lovely, and it's by Melissa Marr, and I know she's done a second Wicked Lovely book, and I haven't been able to find it for the longest time, but I will keep keeping an eye out. So basically, the story, spoiler alert, is about a girl that inherited a special power that her grandma had, which is the ability to see fairies. And you know I love like my fantasy, anything to do with like fairies, angels, mermaids, vampires, etc. So obviously I was naturally very drawn to this kind of book, and it's not as, because when you think of fairies and stuff, you think, you know, it's quite childlike, but this is definitely not a children's book, let me tell you. It's very dark in certain places. Like, she's a teenager and there's the king of the fairies called Keenan, and he falls in love with her and he needs to marry, otherwise his horrible like stepmom or whoever she is will take over fairyland and basically ruin it. And he falls in love with this teenage girl that can see fairies and speak to fairies, but she doesn't love him. And there is one scene, going back to the fact that there are some dark scenes, there's one scene where she goes to a party with them and he pretty much drugs her and rapes her. So yeah, pretty adult and dark in some parts of that, but this is what it properly looks like anyways. And I don't think I've really technically given away the ending, but just a little snippet of what the story is like. So if you're into that sort of thing, that is my all-time favourite book. And this one I haven't read yet, but I kind of wanted to have it just purely because of Angus Thong's and Perfect Snogging, because they refer to the elastic band theory, which is quoted in this book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. And apparently it is meant to be a really good, really funny book and a bit of a help guide as well. So I definitely will get around to reading this and letting you know what I think, but that is another book that I've got in my little collection. So there we go. And I'm going to have to be slightly quicker on this because I only have a certain amount of time to film this, and I've got quite a few little bits to show you. So obviously a lot of people have heard of the 50 Shades of Grey franchise. If you haven't, where have you been the past few years? And I do also have the second one that looks like this, called 50 Shades Darker. And then I have 50 Shades Freed. And basically, for those select few that haven't really heard much about it, it is basically erotica. So it's basically a book where there's a couple that, well, they pretty much fall in love, but there is a lot of relations, should we say, in very specific ways that some people like. So that's all I'm really gonna go with that, because I don't know the age range of who watches my videos, so just in case there are other slightly younger viewers watching, I can't go into too much detail about these books. Don't buy it until you're slightly older, kids. So more on the, speaking of younger, more on that side. Of course, I have mentioned in a lot of my videos, you're probably very bored of me saying her name, but my favourite YouTuber, good old Zoe Sugg, and I've definitely mentioned these books before, the Girl Online series. So this is what the first book looks like. And basically it's a love story where she goes off, long story short, she goes off to America, meets a musician called Noah, and falls in love, basically. And it's basically just their story and her story of struggling with anxiety, and it touches upon, there's a gay couple in it, so it touches upon a bit of that as well. And this is her second book, Girl Online on Tour. And her last book, which is Girl Online Going Solo. So yeah, those three books, basically a love story between a girl called Penny, guy called Noah, and other various little subplots to that, like you know, the story of, there's a gay couple, so you slightly follow their relationship too, and there's anxiety situations that she touches upon, and friendship stuff, yeah. Pretty much all that jazz, really. And surprisingly, I only have one of the collection of this. You'd think how much I genuinely loved the films and books. You'd think I'd have all the books, because I have read all the books, I just haven't kept them, because I think I borrowed them from a friend. But this one I have kept, and it is The New Moon, which is part of the Twilight series that came out probably at least a good maybe 9-10 years ago by now. It's kind of scary to think, but because it is part of my book collection that I've got going, this is one of them. And if you've been living under a rock and you don't really know much about it, it's basically a girl called Bella that falls in love with a vampire called Edward, and there's a bit of a love triangle between him and a very sexy werewolf called Jacob. And there's a lot of danger elements and stuff between, the war of like vampires versus werewolves and all that. So again, if you're into that kind of thing, personally I think the books are a lot better than the films. That's just my personal opinion. I personally did like the films, but I much preferred the books. And that was number 2 of the series. Like it says Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, and then Breaking Dawn. And this is a bit random. It's actually a recipe book, and I do have Tom Daly's one, but this was actually given to me as a present like a year or so ago. Maybe even 2 years by now. The years seem to go really, really fast lately. But this is a baking recipe book called Game of Scones. And it's basically different ways that you can make like biscuits, little cakes, scones, how I normally say it, but obviously scones rhymes with thrones, so but I normally say scones. So different ways of making scones, relating to one of my favourite programmes, Game of Thrones. And this one I haven't read yet, but I've heard it's in the form of a screenplay, and I'm so excited to start this because I've actually finished Dream House, which I'm going to get to in a minute. So it's a screenplay, I think, meant to be set 19 years after the original Harry Potter characters and stuff. So it just touches upon a bit of that, a bit of the old original stuff, and some new surprises and stories and characters to fall in love with, and I'm very excited to read that, and that's what it looks like. Here we go. And I know you've probably seen all these books in previous videos. Dream House was amazing. I'm not going to spoil the ending for you, but let's just say very creepy. Lots of things you didn't expect. A girl basically goes to this house, and there's a massive twist, and creepy, jumpy things happen. There's ghosts involved, but yeah, I can't spoil the ending. I'm sorry, I don't want to. I feel too bad. It's such a good ending, honestly. I literally almost cried. And obviously the 2 username Evie series, a girl escaping reality to a virtual reality that was designed specifically to suit her and to escape her normal life problems and be a bit of a superhero. And there's lots of powerful characters in them, and yeah, it's a very good story. And the last one, before I show you the 2 things I really want to show you before I run out of my filming time, is one that I haven't read yet but looking forward to, and it is in my collection, so I will show it you, is good old Charlotte Crosby. She was one of the only reasons I watched Geordie Shore, because I really love her, and it's called Me, 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 and I think it's a biography, so I'm very much looking forward to reading that. And the 2 things I want to show you is obviously a candle, and this one is in the scent Sweet Violet and Blackberry, and it looks like that. There we go. And this bath bomb that's called Dandelion, and if you look closely, it's the face of a lion. I just thought that was too cute not to get, and I love the colours. It's just the perfect little summery bath bomb. So yeah, that's pretty much all the books that I have, and a slight little snippet of their stories and whether I truly liked them. I hope you enjoyed this video, and there won't be one next weekend because during the week I'm going to Torquay for a few days, so there will be a few vlogs that week, so I'm probably not going to film next weekend. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love you lots. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe, and yeah, see you when I'm in Torquay. Bye, love you.